Hi again, everybody. So we've got our document set up in Google Docs to begin writing our research paper, but we can't really start writing yet. So the thing that should always come first, generally even before you set up your document, but we all wanted to get that set up together, so we did that first this time, but generally, the thing that should come first before you do any writing on a research paper is research. You need to think about a topic first, but then you need to go do some reading and figure out, what do I want to say about this topic? Really, before you figure out what you want to say, you need to figure out what you think about the topic. So, just randomly, I chose global warming. We had some snow recently, and that made me think about the concept of global warming. And, from what I've heard and what I've read, I think science has pretty much proven that global warming is a real thing. But I know there are still people who say that global warming is not real, or that it's not really an issue. It's not affecting the earth the way we think it is. So I thought I'll do some research on global warming and find out what information is out there. And if I haven't already done some research on my topic, then this is what comes next. I really can't begin to do anything else with my paper until I've done this research. So I started with Google. There are lots of great resources that you can use that are not websites, and you'll learn more about those next year in 11th grade. But for this project, we're just going to use websites. So I went to Google and I typed in, is global warming real? There are lots of different ways to type in your search terms, but I could have just put global warming real, or global warming hoax. I like this. Global warming hoax proof that popped up there. Okay, so the first website that popped up, no matter how I typed in the search, was this one. And just looking at it, it looks like a credible source. It looks like a source I should use. It's from NASA. It's a government website. Now, I'm not saying you should always trust government websites or even NASA, but on the topic of global warming, I think it might be pretty solid. When I look at some of these others, I see some other possibly credible sources, National Geographic. Here's Wikipedia. You may not use Wikipedia in a research paper. It can be edited by pretty much anybody, so you can't use Wikipedia. Let's see. I'm not sure what this is. Oh, look at this. News Opinion. It's from a website called Heartland, but looking at the website, I also see News Opinion. So probably not something that I would want to use as a source. So let's start with this NASA source. First thing I need to do now is read. Climate change, how do we know? So I won't sit here and read while you watch the video, but I would need to read. And scrolling through here, I'm looking at subheadings. The evidence for rapid climate change is compelling. Compelling means overwhelming, unavoidable. So, oh gosh, this might be really helpful because I know I'm going to need to divide my research paper into different supporting sections, and this seems to be set up the same way. So, like, I could follow this and set up my research paper the same way. Like, I could do a section on global temperature rise. I could do a section on evidence of warming oceans. I could do a section on glacial retreats. Now, I don't want to copy a website. I don't want to take one website, copy everything, and call that my research paper. That's not my research paper. Next year, you'll need to have at least 5 sources. So I'm not going to copy this directly, and anything I do copy, I'm going to cite. But this is a good place to start. So let's jump forward. Let's imagine I've done some reading, and now I'm ready to write my introduction. Okay, so your introduction should start with something pretty general. One strategy you can use is to talk about why this is an issue at all. What is this about? So I'm going to type in some people still claim that global warming is a hoax. These people, now this is just coming from my head, I'm just thinking, that's what our brains can do, I'm just thinking about this issue of global warming, and by this point I will have done some reading on the topic, and that's going to help me. These people say that no matter what the evidence seems to show, global warming either doesn't exist at all, or it will not have the effect. It's one of our confused words that we've been working on recently. This is a noun, so I'm using the E form, or it will not have the effect that some scientists say it will. I would probably want to say a little more here about global warming in general. I will have done some reading that will help me do that, and I'll type in some general information like global warming will affect, now I need the verb form, global warming will affect our world sooner than many people think. And then I'll just wrap it up with my thesis statement now. Global warming is definitely real. All right, so there's my thesis statement. Don't forget, in your document, you want to bold that thesis statement. You'll need to have it like that next year as well. So I just highlighted it and went up here and clicked B for bold. All right, so I've got my introduction. Now the next thing I'm going to need to do is divide my support into sections and figure out how I'm going to lay out my paper. In Canvas, there are a couple of other pages on outlining, and that would be a good idea to do after doing some more reading. But that's it for the introduction part, and if you haven't written your introduction yet, you need to go ahead and get that done. You might want to go do some reading first. There's no way you can write about a topic that you don't know anything about. So if you haven't done some reading on your topic, if you don't know anything about your topic, if you don't know what your thesis is going to be, your thesis needs to either be something you're going to prove or something you're going to explain. So if you don't know what you're going to write here yet, the only way to get to this point is to go and read on your topic. So go do that if you need to, and write your introduction, and we'll come back with more soon. Good job.